that they knew were troubling and that would only worsen.
An unprecedented media firestorm has officially erupted, shattering the peace of the British royal family, as dark secrets and ruthless schemes to undermine one another among the royal daughters-in-law are dragged into the light. The direct confrontation between Duchess Sophie, Princess Kate Middleton, and Meghan Markle has pushed royal relationships into a brutal, no-holds-barred battle for survival. The entire controversy began with a shocking leaked footage scandal surrounding the documentary Royal Peacemaker, Sophie Duchess of Edinburgh, which has just officially aired. Amid disastrous misunderstandings that falsely painted Sophie as speaking ill of her younger royal relatives, Meghan Markle immediately took to public platforms to launch a vicious attack against Sophie, even dragging Kate Middleton into this muddy and toxic conflict. But this time, the royal camp refused to remain silent. They swiftly struck back with a fierce counteroffensive, armed with a series of devastating pieces of evidence that exposed Meghan's arrogant behavior dating back to her time within the royal family. What further horrifying secrets will these undeniable pieces of evidence reveal? Will they be powerful enough to crush Meghan Markle's carefully crafted crown of illusion, or will she once again deploy another sophisticated maneuver to turn the tide in her favor? Watch until the very end to uncover the full shocking truth and the devastating outcome of this royal power struggle. In May 2026, the documentary titled Royal Peacemaker, Sophie Duchess of Edinburgh officially premiered on Channel 5, immediately capturing the attention of millions of television viewers. Appearing in the film, Sophie Duchess of Edinburgh shared remarkably thoughtful diplomatic and measured reflections on her life within the royal family. She proudly stated that she had once enjoyed the complete trust of the late Queen Elizabeth II, and that at the present time she continues to be highly valued by King Charles III in carrying out duties on behalf of the monarchy. Notably, when speaking about the younger generation, Sophie carefully revealed that in the past she had personally offered to serve as a mentor to both Princess Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle when they were first beginning their journeys as daughters-in-law of the British royal family. However, the calm atmosphere and carefully diplomatic remarks broadcast on television were shattered almost immediately. A shocking behind-the-scenes scandal erupted when an original segment of footage previously edited, revised, and cut from the final production was unexpectedly leaked online by an anonymous post-production staff member. This uncensored material exposed a reality entirely different from what the public had been shown. In the leaked footage, the anonymous editor, together with the documentary's sharply critical screenwriter, meticulously dissected every detail. Their observations were further reinforced by a series of in-depth assessments and analyses from leading royal experts, all working to piece together and uncover the truth that had remained hidden. According to the deductions and analyses presented in the leaked footage, the reactions of the two royal daughters-in-law to Sophie's assistance were completely opposite. While Princess Kate Middleton warmly welcomed and deeply appreciated the advice and guidance offered by her senior royal relative, Meghan Markle reportedly displayed an entirely different attitude. The Duchess of Sussex was portrayed as having largely ignored and seemingly dismissed the valuable experience and knowledge Sophie attempted to share. The peak of this alleged disrespect came when, despite Sophie dedicating many hours to personally sitting down with her and carefully explaining royal protocols and traditions, Meghan Markle ultimately turned her back on those efforts and reportedly did not even extend the basic courtesy of inviting Sophie to visit her residence at the palace. Once this explosive and highly controversial detail came to light, it immediately triggered a massive media earthquake. Online communities around the world erupted in response, creating an intense wave of outrage directed squarely at the Sussex household. Tens of thousands of critical comments flooded social media platforms, strongly condemning what many viewed as Meghan Markle's condescending attitude, arrogance, and lack of respect toward a seasoned royal figure such as Sophie. Once again, the American-born Duchess found herself at the center of a storm of global public criticism. Will Meghan Markle remain silent in the face of this growing backlash? Or will she launch a counterattack of her own to respond to accusations of arrogance and disrespect? The explosion of public outrage across the globe following the leaked behind-the-scenes footage immediately shattered the peace inside the California estate. Watching herself become the target of tens of thousands of criticisms and insults over her allegedly condescending attitude across social media platforms, Meghan Markle could no longer remain silent. Anger and wounded pride, fueled by the growing tide of unfavorable coverage, drove the former Duchess of Sussex to launch an aggressive response. Rather than acting through representatives or issuing an official palace statement, Meghan Markle chose to publish a lengthy post directly on a media platform, turning her accusations toward Duchess Sophie in an effort to shift the narrative and regain control of public opinion. In her statement, heavy with hostility and confrontation, Meghan Markle did not hesitate to name her senior royal relative directly and use exceptionally harsh language to expose what she described as hidden injustices from the past. The former Duchess wrote bluntly, "The polished explanations presented on television are nothing more than a velvet curtain, concealing the harsh reality that I was forced to endure. When I first entered that family, Duchess Sophie never treated me fairly. She consistently displayed blatant favoritism, always protecting and prioritizing Kate Middleton in every situation, while I was completely ignored and pushed to the margins of everyone's attention. It was precisely that coldness, unfairness, and exclusion from Sophie that forced me to become defensive and unwilling to continue this artificial social relationship. Bringing up the yacht story or events from the past at this moment is simply another performance. I firmly believe that Sophie is now exploiting the media, deliberately orchestrating a personal vendetta designed to smear and damage my reputation in the eyes of the public." This dramatic counteraccusation and direct attack from Meghan Markle immediately pushed the royal confrontation to an entirely new level of tension. However, her attempt to portray herself as the victim of discrimination did not unfold as smoothly as she had hoped. Shortly after the Sussex statement began spreading widely, the Princess of Wales, Kate Middleton, made a highly unexpected and extremely rare move by stepping directly into the media spotlight to challenge those accusations head-on. Known for maintaining a carefully measured and discreet public image, Kate's decision to speak publicly underscored the seriousness of the situation. Appearing before the international press, Kate Middleton delivered a forceful statement that directly dismantled Meghan Markle's defense using facts she claimed to have personally witnessed. The Princess of Wales publicly issued the following declaration: "I am compelled to speak because the truth deserves to be respected and protected. What Meghan Markle has just published is entirely false and fundamentally distorts what actually happened. There was never any discrimination or cold treatment from Sophie toward her. On the contrary, I was present and personally witnessed everything that occurred that day. I saw Meghan Markle display an extraordinarily arrogant, disrespectful, and condescending attitude toward a senior royal family member, while Sophie was generously offering her guidance. Instead of listening with even the minimum level of respect, Meghan behaved dismissively, made disrespectful remarks, and then abruptly turned her back and walked away in a manner that shocked everyone present. This truth cannot be denied by anyone." Kate Middleton's direct and public rebuttal landed like a bucket of ice water poured over Meghan Markle's efforts to defend herself. The stark contrast between the former Duchess's social media accusations and the composed first-hand testimony offered by the Princess of Wales completely transformed the media battlefield. Public opinion began to focus increasingly on what many perceived as the Sussex camp's stubbornness and tendency to blame circumstances for its troubles. The result was a fierce and deeply polarizing debate throughout the international media landscape, pushing the relationship between the royal daughters-in-law into a bitter, irreversible conflict from which there seemed to be no return. After Kate Middleton's forceful exposure of the events, what new strategy will Meghan Markle deploy to defend her claims, and is the royal camp prepared to stop here? The Princess of Wales's public and forceful rebuttal dealt a heavy blow to the Sussex camp's efforts to shape public opinion, but it did not force Meghan Markle to retreat. On the contrary, Kate Middleton's intervention only intensified the anger and resentment that had been simmering beneath the surface for so long. Meghan Markle's unwillingness to accept defeat and her obsession with protecting her public image at all costs drove her to launch yet another frantic counterattack. Refusing to give the public a moment to cool down, the former Duchess of Sussex once again took to her personal platform, publishing a lengthy statement aimed directly at her sister-in-law in an attempt to destroy the credibility of the only living witness. In this openly provocative post, Meghan Markle discarded any remaining traces of diplomatic restraint and used her harshest language yet to condemn and attack the Princess of Wales before a global audience. She bluntly wrote, "It is ridiculous, and even more ridiculous when people try to play the role of a saintly savior while passing judgment on others. I am not surprised in the slightest by the lies Kate Middleton has just fed to the media. The public needs to wake up and see the truth. Kate is a complete fraud, someone who constantly performs for the cameras to construct a perfect image for herself. The very person who now claims to have witnessed everything was in reality complicit in that injustice from the beginning. Kate Middleton is so fake that she has always sought to orchestrate situations, align herself with Sophie's faction, and isolate me, only to now step forward as some righteous witness in an effort to smear me. Her statement contains not a shred of truth. It serves only as proof of the jealousy and determination of an outdated royal system that is desperate to bring me down at any cost." This fiery response, amounting to a direct character attack against Kate Middleton, pushed the British royal family's media crisis to the peak of chaos. Audiences around the world seemed almost breathless as they watched this unprecedented war of words unfold between the two royal daughters-in-law. Yet just as tensions reached their most volatile and chaotic stage, a third figure from the royal camp unexpectedly emerged, breaking the deadlock with an action that completely transformed the battlefield. That person was none other than Duchess Sophie's private secretary. Unable to watch her superior's kindness be trampled upon, and the reputation of the royal family be tarnished by what she believed were Meghan's malicious accusations, the secretary finally reached her breaking point. Refusing to sit back any longer while the truth was being distorted, she decided to take action. Rather than issuing lengthy statements, she chose the most practical and ruthless weapon available: undeniable digital evidence. A series of screenshots documenting past text message conversations between Sophie and Meghan Markle were leaked publicly onto social media. To comply with basic privacy and information security standards, and to avoid serious legal complications, the screenshots had been deliberately edited to blur sensitive personal details, phone numbers, and specific timestamps. Nevertheless, the key portions of the message content that remained visible were more than enough to expose what many viewed as the former Duchess of Sussex's deception. The messages revealed a stark reality in which Meghan Markle frequently ignored and disregarded Sophie's inquiries, words of concern, and attempts to offer guidance. Over an extended period of time, Duchess Sophie repeatedly sent thoughtful and supportive messages, yet Meghan's responses were often prolonged silence, lasting days, or in many cases no response at all. Even more shocking were the few rare occasions when Meghan Markle did choose to reply. The contents of those responses left viewers stunned by what appeared to be her true attitude. Through the leaked screenshots, the public could clearly see replies that were cold, abrupt, dismissive, and entirely lacking the most basic forms of courtesy one would typically extend to a senior family member. Meghan Markle's tone appeared arrogant and contemptuous when addressing Sophie. Some messages even seemed to suggest efforts to undermine and diminish the reputation, influence, and role of the Duchess of Edinburgh within the royal family itself. The emergence of these blurred message screenshots hit like a media atomic bomb, obliterating every defense and accusation Meghan Markle had attempted to build. The counterstrike from Sophie's trusted secretary completely reversed the momentum of the battle, turning Meghan's claims of being discriminated against into what many viewed as a public spectacle of self-destruction, as the very words she had written appeared to expose her own behavior. Yet these cold and dismissive messages may have been only the tip of the iceberg. Could Sophie's secretary still be holding even more horrifying secrets about Meghan's conduct behind palace walls? After releasing the blurred message screenshots that delivered a devastating blow to Meghan Markle's alleged deception, Duchess Sophie's close secretary still was not finished. Seeing global public opinion shaken to its core and hungry to learn the full truth, the secretary decided to unveil the next chapter in a series of shocking behind-the-scenes revelations. No longer confined to cold and distant text messages in the digital world, the next disclosures directly exposed acts of bullying and calculated sabotage that allegedly took place in real life within the most private and dignified setting of the British royal family itself. Posting a series of statements on social media, Sophie's secretary openly shared a startling account of an incident that had allegedly occurred during a private family dinner years earlier. The secretary declared, "The public has only seen the coldness reflected in the text messages, but they cannot begin to imagine what Duchess Sophie had to endure in real life because of Meghan Markle's irrational hostility." During an intimate family dinner, where everyone should have treated one another with respect, Meghan Markle turned the occasion into a stage for malice. Driven by deep-rooted resentment and jealousy towards Sophie, Meghan repeatedly sought opportunities to provoke conflict through petty actions. She deliberately tried time and time again to trip Sophie under the table while she was moving around. And it did not stop there. The peak of that malicious behavior came when Meghan intentionally orchestrated a clumsy incident that resulted in an entire large bowl of soup being spilled onto Sophie in front of other family members. It was not an accidental mishap. It was a deliberate act intended to insult the dignity and person of a senior member of the family. This vivid and detailed revelation immediately left the public stunned and disgusted by what appeared to be the hidden intrigues lurking behind palace walls. However, fully aware that supporters of the Sussex camp might once again attempt to deny the allegations or shift blame elsewhere, Sophie's secretary wasted no time in releasing what was described as a piece of ironclad evidence designed to eliminate every possible avenue of retreat for Meghan Markle. It was a photograph taken at the scene immediately after the dramatic soup spilling incident had occurred. Like the previous pieces of evidence, the image had been deliberately edited to blur the surrounding environment and the faces of uninvolved individuals in order to maximize privacy protection and comply with regulations. Nevertheless, despite being partially blurred, the image quality and the key remaining details were remarkably clear, allowing online communities and analysts to scrutinize every visible element. Within the photograph, internet users quickly identified the two central figures occupying the focus of the frame. The image allegedly showed Meghan Markle standing with her head lowered while facing Duchess Sophie and offering an apology after her role in the soup spilling incident had been exposed. What immediately became the focal point of public discussion and analysis, however, was Meghan Markle's facial expression at that moment. Although parts of her face had been lightly blurred, the tension in her features, the stiffness of her expression, and the hostility in her eyes remained clearly visible. Social media users overwhelmingly pointed out that Meghan Markle's face appeared filled with anger, resentment, and frustration at having been caught showing no signs whatsoever of remorse, sincerity, or regret for her actions. Her fiery glare towards Sophie seemed to suggest that she viewed herself as the injured party, reinforcing perceptions of an attitude marked by arrogant superiority and an extreme unwillingness to accept fault. This highly damaging photograph, combined with the secretary's forceful testimony, triggered an unprecedented shockwave across international media outlets. Every defense, every accusation, portraying Kate Middleton as a fraud, and every claim that the royal family had discriminated against her narratives that Meghan Markle had worked tirelessly to build were completely crushed beneath the weight of this stark and unsettling account. The image of a mistreated victim that she had carefully maintained for years now appeared to be unraveling, exposing what many viewed as a deeply troubling reality of schemes and disrespectful behavior allegedly taking place behind the walls of London Palace. With a growing chain of hard evidence from leaked messages to photographs allegedly documenting acts of sabotage now laid bare before the world, How will Meghan Markle confront the mounting fury of a global public pushed to its breaking point? The devastating impact of the photographic evidence allegedly catching Meghan Markle engaging in underhanded behavior during a family dinner, combined with the series of curt text messages released by Sophie's secretary, officially brought an end to every remaining media strategy employed by the Sussex camp. Faced with this chain of hard-hitting, clear, and seemingly undeniable evidence, an unprecedented wave of public outrage erupted across the global online community like a raging storm sweeping directly toward Meghan Markle's California estate. Across social media platforms, large and small millions of users from Britain, the United States, and around the world turned against the former Duchess in unison, creating an intense campaign of criticism and public condemnation. Her old posts became flooded with countless comments denouncing her behavior. Many members of the public expressed deep disgust at what they viewed as petty conduct, attempts to trip a senior family member, and the alleged deliberate spilling of soup on her, while also accusing Meghan of falsely portraying herself as a victim of discrimination for years. This time, there appeared to be no one left willing to defend or advocate on her behalf. Confronted by the overwhelming fury of public opinion and the crushing weight of the evidence, Meghan Markle reportedly fell completely silent. The Duchess of Sussex issued no further accusatory posts, offered no public defense, and appeared unable to launch any additional media maneuver capable of reversing the situation. This striking silence became in the eyes of many observers the clearest indication of her helplessness and complete surrender in the face of the allegations. The image, reputation, and humanitarian crown that Meghan Markle had spent years constructing amid numerous controversies now seemed to crumble entirely before the eyes of the international public. From a figure who consistently portrayed herself as a champion of justice, she was now depicted as an arrogant bully operating within the royal household itself. While Meghan Markle was said to be enduring the bitter consequences of a total reputational collapse behind the gates of her luxurious American residence, Duchess Sophie of Edinburgh displayed a completely different approach, one that reflected what many regarded as the true stature of a royal family member. Amid the storm of scandal and relentless public discussion, Sophie remained entirely silent, refusing to engage in arguments, disputes, or public statements aimed at attacking anyone's character. She chose to remain above the mudslinging conflict that Meghan was accused of igniting and showed no visible concern for the personal attacks that had previously been directed at her. Rather than wasting time on public feuds, Duchess Sophie devoted her attention and energy to continuing her royal duties with diligence and dedication. She repeatedly appeared before the public, carrying herself with confidence, grace, and professionalism. Most notably, at major international events that followed the controversy, Sophie became a central focus of mainstream media coverage. Her regal bearing, self-assurance, compassion, and refined conduct, while representing the British monarchy at conferences and diplomatic engagements, were widely praised, earning admiration from world leaders as well as members of the global public. Sophie's commitment to hard work and quiet service became the most powerful response of all, shattering every accusation and smear campaign that had emerged from the Sussex camp. Without resorting to hostile statements or personal attacks, the Duchess of Edinburgh reaffirmed her standing through her composure and excellence on the international stage. The stark contrast between Meghan Markle's silent collapse in public image and Sophie's rise in reputation and royal prestige brought this entire dark chapter to a close, restoring order and honor to London Palace in the face of what were portrayed as malicious attempts at defamation. How do you feel about Meghan Markle's alleged arrogance and Duchess Sophie's composed and dignified conduct throughout this entire historic confrontation? In your opinion, what meaning or lesson does this latest collapse of the former Duchess of Sussex's public image offer about human behavior, personal character, and the value of truth? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.